Yo, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet VGC video. I'm your host Jose Rocks VGC, and today we're going to be doing top 5 Pokemon in Regulation C. Y'all ready? Let's get into it. So for our top 5 today, we just wanted to go over, these are in my opinion what I feel like the best 5 are in the format. In no way is this a permanent thing. Like, this can change based out how the series end and if anything else picks up, in my opinion. But like I said, this is just what I believe is the top 5 currently. We just finished Hartfield, the recent tournament that just passed by this weekend. So I am recording this right after that tournament end, and so I'm gonna go ahead and give my opinion. So first up, so we're gonna start with number 5. So number 5 on the list is, you guys should already know, this is gonna be what's in my thumbnail as well. Oops, my bad. All right. Among Us. So Among Us, what makes Among Us enter into my top 5? So the reason Among Us is in my top 5 because, for starters, it gets a plethora of different terrors that you can go for. You can the most common that I've been seeing is water. I've also seen Steel before. I've seen Terra Dark to get around like priority taunts and things like that. Also to help with back in the other series, the Terra Dark was pretty good as far as like blocking expanding force spam and Trick Room. So that was pretty good to get around like safety goggles, armor roots. They used to counter it. I haven't really seen. I've seen a fairy terror Among Us as well. I haven't really seen anything else. There may be like a ghoster flying out there just to get around like fake out and like ground moves and things like that. But for the most part, you're gonna be seeing water and probably dark. Those are gonna be probably the most 2 common ones. So what does Among Us do? So Among Us gets Rage Powder, right? So this makes it a redirector. So this, if it's not a grass type, it redirects any moves away from it if it's not a grass type or if it's not holding safety goggles. Another thing it gets is Spore. So Spore is really good at just putting things to sleep and being really annoying on the field. Spore's sleep is one of the best statuses in the game because for the first turn, your opponent's completely immobilized, right? It can't do anything. Sleep is, since probably going back to early VGC 10, 15 years ago, sleep has always been like, a dominant strategy that a lot of people play around, right? Another common thing that it usually run is Pollen Puff. So Pollen Puff is really good at being support. So Among Us is like the ultimate when it comes to support. It's not really gonna deal a lot of damage, but oddly enough, this Pollen Puff does like really good damage into things like that might want to tear into a grass type, or like things like Wo-Chin or Meowscarada that are 4 times weak to bug, right? It does really good damage into them. And also it can chip down like Iron Bundle and things like that don't have real good special defense. So that's a really good attack from that. Another tech I've been seeing as far as an offensive move is Leaf Storm. Now Leaf Storm has the can one-shot Great Tusk if it's not Focus Sash. So it's a really good tech into leading this into a Great Tusk and having them not Terror into like a Steel type on turn 1 because they feel like they're not threatened by a KO. And the only thing they're probably worried about is a sleep. And you can easily like knock them out with Leaf Storm. I've actually run this a few times. It's a really good move on it. You can also run Foul Play. This is really good into like physical attackers. And most Among Us, they run pretty much about this much HP. Probably about 120 right there, and put the rest in defense. This is a really good Among Us set. I don't like to not have Protect on my Pokemon, especially like Among Us, since it puts on a lot of pressure. So I would add Protect, but like I said, you can always go with 4 moves because Among Us is so bulky. And if you have something that puts on pressure next to it, you won't always need to Protect. So this is a really good tech right here. If you want to take out this, there's also Clear Smog. This gives you an answer into the Dondozo things that are running around, plus any like Swords Dance boosting or any stat boosting Pokemon that wants to get around some things. So that's a really good tech. Also ran into Giga Drain. Giga Drain's pretty good on it. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's Giga Drain and probably like another thing like Sludge Bomb are just good for like dealing good chip if you want to have that on your Among Us. One strat that I did run into on ladder was actually a Hex Among Us that put one of my Flutter main to sleep, and then it hexed it, and it did pretty good damage to it. I'm kind of impressed with it. One thing I don't see ran enough on Among Us, I would say, is instead of protect, you can have maybe substitute. I used to run into this on Sword and Shield. I haven't really seen it in Scarlet and Violet. But like getting Among Us behind a substitute is just like so threatening. If they don't have things that like stop you from putting it to sleep, like grass types, Goldango with its ability, Garganacl with this ability, or their own substitute, or safety goggles, things like that, then Among Us is just like putting everything to sleep, right? Like this is a crazy set that I haven't, not Hex maybe, but maybe like Pollen Puff. This is a really good Among Us set. I feel like more people should experiment with this. Of course, you want to go with a Regenerator. So the idea behind Regenerator instead of Effect Spore is that you get the opportunity to switch your Among Us out, and it heals, what was it, 1/3 of its maximum HP. And if you have like a Citrus Berry with this, like this just makes Among Us very bulky. Like if they're not like two-shotting it past the Citrus Berry, and they can't one-shot it, then you getting your Citrus Berry and then switching back out, like Among Us is almost back to full health and it's able to keep doing what it wants to do. Effect Spore is a good ability, but Regenerator is so good for pivoting that it kind of makes Effect Spore relevant. Even though it's like a 30% chance to do one of these statuses, poison, paralysis, or sleep, Regenerator is always going to be, you know, the ideal ability. Citrus Berry, I feel like, is the best item to run right now. I think the second best item will probably be Covert Cloak. This, if you want to run Covert Cloak and use this set right here, this is a good set because this gets you, not actually, you're going to want to run Water Terror on this. So this gets you around the fake out, right? And people are not going to want to click electric type or grass type moves into Among Us because it resists those. That's why Water Terror is a good terror on it. And so this keeps you from getting faked out, and you can easily set up your substitute and the next turn go for Spore, and they can't knock you out easily, right? I think the third best item might be, let's see, I've seen Black Sludge. Rocky Helmet's pretty good in the other series, like to stop like mouse hold. And when Urshifu comes back, Water Urshifu, this is gonna be a good counter to Water Urshifu because you're just gonna make it like deal so much damage to itself. And you're gonna need Urshifu counters when it comes back to the game, right? Because his ability makes it go through protects. So to play around going through protects, you need to make it hurt itself because most of the time they're gonna be running Focus Sash. So this is a good one to stop the Water Urshifu. I've seen Focus Sash if you want to run max speed on Among Us. So this is a set I've seen before too, but not Pollen Puff, Leaf Storm, and Protect. Right, so this is a really good set. So you run max speed on Among Us, make it Jolly Nature, Timid Nature. You run max speed on it, and this way you can outspeed things like if you go for like a Tailwind and get fast spores off. But if you want to use like an aggressive fast spore user, just use Breloom, right? Breloom gives you pretty much the same thing. You want to be fast, it's already faster. You can go for Technician or effect Spore if you want to, and then you just go for fast spores. You know, you want to put a Focus Sash on it, and if you got Technician, you can also go for like Bullet Seed and Mac Punch, right? And this is a pretty good set. I haven't seen Breloom a lot because maybe fast spore is not really good in the bulky teams because they have a chance to wake up next turn. But if you want to use fast, I would recommend just going with this. It is a pretty good set. So, but this is why I pick Among Us at number 5. So it's one of the top 5 pokemon. It's so versatile. It's so easy to slap on the teams. It's good at what it does. You know what it's gonna do, and you can't stop it, right? So in my opinion, that's why I feel like it's in the top 5. All right. So number 4. Number 4, we have Chien-Pao. Sorry about that. Chien-Pao. So Chien-Pao. So what item is ran on this? The most common item I see on it is Focus Sash, right? So Focus Sash is a good set. Focus Sash with Ghost Terror. So this is a good set. You want to go with Ice Spinner, Sucker Punch, Sacred Sword, and Protect. So and then they're always max speed, max attack, right? So this is the reason why this is so good is because Chien-Pao, a lot of Pokemon are not good physically defensive. There's a lot more Pokemon in the meta right now that are especially defensive, right? Plus Assault Vest is a thing. So this just takes advantage of like a lot of Pokemon not having good physical bulk, and this just powers up any of your other physical attackers. It does give a boost to your opponent on the field as well, but if you're playing with Chien-Pao, you want to be playing with a hyper offense team, right? So hyper offense means you want to be moving first. So if you're moving first and your physical attackers are dealing more damage, then you benefit the most from Chien-Pao's ability rather than being detrimental to your team because you're so hyper offense. You don't want to play Chien-Pao in like a slow team and like have like Trick Room up or bulky Pokemon next to it, because then all you're doing is making them less bulky by lowering their defenses, making your opponent easier to take them out, and they're not moving first, right? So that's why this Pokemon is always like seen on the fast teams, hyper offense teams. You're never really gonna see like this, a Trick Room variant of this. I don't know if somebody's crazy enough to try that because of its ability to make like a Trick Room Pokemon stronger and just like make this like lower speed and then min speed it. I don't know if anybody wants to try that. I haven't seen it. I wouldn't recommend it, but it is an option if you just wanted to use this alongside a slower Pokemon, right? Inside a Trick Room. Another set I've seen that has also like caught me off guard is Life Orb, Dark Terror, with Sucker Punches and Throat Chop, right? I mean Haze. So this set is really good because you get really strong Sucker Punches. You force your opponent to, like, you pin them into like a position where they have to protect and things like that. And using this next to like an Encore Mon is like really threatening because this outspeeds pretty much everything that's not on a Booster Energy or Tailwind or one of the Weather Abuser Mons. And then you're just knocking things out with Ice Spin or Sucker Punch. Even if it's resisted, it's still doing like really good damage with Sucker Punch, like almost half, even if you resist it. And the Haze is just the counter for Dondozo. And if you could, actually with this set, you're gonna probably want to run Throat Chop instead of Haze, just to maximize the damage that you're doing, right? And then for the Haze set, it is gonna be Focus Sash for that one. I haven't seen any other item on this Pokemon besides these two. I thought about myself using an Assault Vest one, but I don't know how good that is because if anybody has like a random fighting move, you know, that's gonna just KO you even with your Assault Vest, right? So then you're kind of like forced to tear if you might suspect that your opponent has a fighting move. So I wouldn't recommend not having Protect on this Mon. But then if you want to run Haze, then you could run this set, right? And then against Dondozo, you go for the Flying Terror because it always wants to go for the Earthquake to knock you out with your teammate and deal damage to your teammate. So this is a pretty good set, and this is also a good set that you can use alongside an Earthquake user like Great Tusk or Ting Lu. That way you're dropping their defenses and you can go for Earthquake and you don't have to worry about hitting your Chien-Pao or breaking your Sash, right? So Chien-Pao is going to be my number 4, right? It's a really good Mon. I think its best teammate is Dragonite, but I've seen like a lot of Palafin teams use with it. I've seen Ting Lu next to it. I've seen Roaring Moon next to it, Garchomp, like just a lot of strong physical attackers. So moving on, our third Pokemon is gonna be Annihilate. This Pokemon is so good. Now, before I did my list, when I first was brainstorming this, I did have Iron Bundle here, but Iron Bundle, I feel like it comes right outside of the top 5, right? Because Annihilate is just so good, man. It's always Defiant ability. You could go for like Vital Spirit to get around like Spores and things like that, but having Defiant and getting a +1 when your opponent goes for Intimidate, which is with Gyarados and Arcanine in the format, and they're like, those are both like top 15 Pokemon. I do feel like you need this. Inner Focus, like, this is to get around. I guess this gets you around Intimidate of getting your attack drop, but why don't you just get the boost, right? And also the thing about Annihilate is, why would you be afraid of flinching when you're Ghost type? Unless you're tearing away from this every single time this comes to the field with some type of strategy and you don't want to be faked out, then you should never go for inner focus because you already are immune to fake out, right? Unless it's like a scrappy Pokemon, but I don't believe there's any scrappy Pokemon in the meta right now, right? If I'm not mistaken, Kangaskhan's not in the game. Scrappy. So Flamingo does get it, but Flamingo doesn't get fake out, does it? Yep, so it doesn't get fake out. So you don't have to worry about being faked out by anything in the current format until some more scrappy users come back, right? So the best Terra type on this is either going to be water, steel, or fire. My favorite is fire. This helps you get around Arcanine wanting to burn you as soon as it comes in and give you a Intimidate, Defiant boost. And then you can go with Leftovers. This is the maybe the most common Annihilate set that you'll see. And then you have Rage Fist, because this is one of the most broken moves in the game that's ever been in the game, outside of like Zacian's Behemoth Blade on Dynamax Pokemon. Then you got Drain Punch. Then you have Bulk Up. Bulk Up is so good with this Pokemon because it has so many opportunities to get Bulk Up, and a single Bulk Up just makes this Pokemon like sweep through everything, survive any physical hits, and it's just really strong. I love this Pokemon. I think it's my second favorite Pokemon in this generation behind King Gambit, but I do think both of those are really fun Pokemon to use. I like that a lot of the new Pokemon I feel like they'll still be around even after the restricteds come. I do think Annihilate is here to stay. I don't think, maybe Incineroar kind of helps like check it, but I mean Incineroar just gives you an Intimidate boost, right? You can't hit it with your ghost moves, but you are a fighting type, so you can hit it with a super effective fighting type move. So even this is gonna be like good at helping you deal with Incineroar, because once Incineroar comes back to the format, it's gonna be everywhere. It's gonna be on every top 5 list. It's gonna be good at stopping all the physical threats. Like Chien-Pao can't do anything to it. Chi-Yu can't do anything to it. Incineroar with a Assault Vest. Flutter Mane is gonna be completely stopped to Assault Vest. Incineroar with Snarls and Parting Shots. Incineroar is gonna really help balance the format. Like Incineroar next to like Ting Lu, like Flutter Mane is just gonna be completely non-existent, right? It can't do nothing against that duo. And so in order to deal with Incineroar, you're gonna want to have Annihilate, right? You're gonna want to take advantage of that Intimidate, get that boost. They can't go for Snarls because they're just gonna boost you up, right? They can't fake you out, right? And then you hit it back super effective, right? Annihilate is like built to like stop Incineroar. It's funny because we needed you last generation when Incineroar was running rampant around, and only Zacian can really deal with it, unless it's just something that completely just counters Incineroar. But even having something that completely counters Incineroar might like lose to a lot of other things that's common in the format that Incineroar likes to play with, right? But this video is not about Incineroar. It is about Annihilate, and this set I feel like it's the best one. Like I said, you could go for Water Terror. I've seen the Water Terror set alongside Excalibur, and Excalibur goes for loaded dice, Icicle Spears into you, and gives you your Rage Fish boost. And I feel like that is a good strategy to go for. It's another way to have 2 things that pressure on the field instead of just Annihilate next to Mouse Hold, which can sometimes be kind of passive if it's not really going for population bombs. If you have ghost types on the field, it can't really super fang into them. And if you have things that outspeed it, then it can't really encore them, right? So Mouse Hold can be passive in certain situations, and your opponent can play around it. And that's why Excalibur is like another good teammate for Annihilate. So another good set that you want to run on this is Terra Grass. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mean Terra Grass with this set. I mean Terra Grass with this set. So you want to add a Scarf to this. A Scarf, right? Scarf, Close Combat. You could run Rage Fist or Shadow Ball. Shadow Claw. And then this is you want to have Final Gambit. And your final move is going to be U-turn. So this set is really good because the Grass Terror is to get you around Rage Powder, so you can always hit your target unless it's like a Follow Me. So this set is so scary, right? So you'll always be max speed, right? Jolly. And then max HP. And then you just put the rest on attack. That way you deal the most damage. Like this is one shot in everything that doesn't have more HP than a higher base stat than 110 HP. and you're just one-shotting it, and you might be losing your Annihilate, so you also losing a piece. But if you're using this to take out something that you feel like threatens what you have in the back, and you're just removing it from play immediately, like, it's nothing better than taking a piece that's in your control, because you can control that you're losing your Annihilate, but your opponent cannot control which one Annihilate is taken with it, right? And so that always means that the trade is in your favor, unless they can redirect with Indeedee into something. Then you just lost your Annihilate for the Indeedee, and I don't know if that's a really good trade. So if you do see Indeedee on their team, I would take caution leading this. But this is always like, you could just put this next to Mousehold, and your opponent is gonna think you're going for beat up plus Rage Fist, and the whole time you can be Technician on this, Wide Lens, Normal Terror, and Population Bomb, right? And you go for Final Gambit and then Normal Terror and Population Bomb, and if they don't have a Steel or Ghost type or Rock type on the field, like, you can easily pick up double KOs. And if they have a Steel or Rock type, you just go for Final Gambit into it, and then you just Population Bomb. The only thing that stops these two on the lead immediately, like, without having to like protect or do priority things like that, is just a Ghost type, right? So this is just a really good deceiving strategy, and you think that you're safe because you might think they are kind of passive with the bulk up and then beat up, and then they just go for a double KO on turn one, right? So that's why this is a scary like duo, because they can flex either one of those leads. And since the beat up is more common, this one can actually surprise your opponent more than the other way around, if that makes sense. So with all that said, that is why I do pick Annihilate for my number 3. And let's move on to our number 4 Pokemon. So our number 4 Pokemon is going to be none other than the hero, Palafin. So Palafin, when it's in its regular form, which is the baby, this Pokemon is still, I feel like, a top 30 Pokemon maybe in the current format. And why is not the fact that it can transform, it's the fact that it threatens a switch out, and they don't have to switch out, and you just go for Terra Water, Wave Crash, or Jet Punch. And like things that are not bulky, like you can easily like pick up surprise KOs when you're gonna always have the water, Mystic Water on this, just to boost the power of your water type moves. And you can literally just go for Jet Punch or Terra Water, Wave Crash on turn 1 and pick up a surprise KO when they're expecting you to be passive and switch out, right? And as you know, Palafin is just one of the best Pokemon in the game. Like, it has so many different like tools. The most common set is gonna be Wave Crash, Jet Punch, Haze. Haze is the deal with the Dondozo matchup and Protect, right? And then Water Terror with Mystic Water. So I've seen some adaptations to this set, but this is the most common Palafin set. It's the most consistent set, and it's the most predictable set. But even though you could predict it, it's like, if this is on a balanced team, can you stop it? Can you make enough reads to, you know, call when they're going to switch out, call when it's going to come back in, have enough pieces in the late game for when it's time for Palafin to come back in, so it can't just Jet Punch and KO everything that's frail on the field or anything that's like low HP, right? Another set I've seen instead of this is Close Combat. This is to just give you some other tech. If Gastrodon was more common in the format, you would see this more, just so this is not completely walled by Gastrodon. I don't know why Gastrodon has not picked up in usage as it should to deal with Palafin, because this set without Close Combat is very common, right? And it completely, like, Gastrodon just walls this thing. Gastrodon also can wall Iron Bundle with Fire Terror. That way it can't hit you with an Ice move or a Water move, right? Because of the Storm Drain. And it's one of the only Pokemon that can completely like wall Iron Bundle on both sides of Ice and Water moves, right? Once Kyogre come back, Gastrodon is definitely gonna pick up, because Kyogre is just a big enough threat to where everyone feels like they have to have counters to stop Water Spout. But I do feel like Gastrodon should be around with this thing being as prominent as it is, as well as Dondozo running around with Wave Crashes as well. Like, Gastrodon is just good for it. Another set you can see is Terra Blast, right? So Terra Blast is not going to be Terra Blast Water, it's going to be Terra Blast Gas. And this gives you a good answer into Dondozo if it doesn't Terra, if you don't have Haze, as well as getting rid of other Palafin, right? And getting around Amoonguss Spore. So this helps you with that. You can also just skip that and go for substitute to get around Amoonguss Spore. But the Grass Terra type is also going to be just more consistent for you if you're trying to get around Amoonguss. There's not much to say about Palafin. Like everyone knows, it's a really good Pokemon this generation. It's a welcome addition. I don't know how well it's going to do when the restrictors come back. These three, their usage might even be up when the restrictors get back, right? Because Chien-Pao is going to help like Zacian and all the powerful physical restrictors do more damage. Annihilate is going to help you deal with Incineroar, which helps check restrictors, so that's why Incineroar is going to be common. And Amoonguss is just always good. Like Bulky, Trick Room Answer, Rage Powder, Redirections, putting things to sleep, giving you more time, healing things up is always going to be good, right? And then you have Palafin, which I feel like when Kyogre comes back, it might be good beside Kyogre, but like just things knowing that you have to switch out to get this back in and like getting doubled up into by a restricted, like even if you resist it, restrictors are just so powerful, like you don't want to take a double up, right? Like even Incineroar back in like in Gen 8, like if you lead like Zacian and your Veltal, you Dynamax your Veltal, go for Airstream and Behemoth Blade into a slot where you think Incineroar's coming in, even that being one of like most bulky Pokemon with Intimidate, it's not gonna like that double up, right? And I know we don't have Dynamax anymore, but just think of two powerful restrictors doubling up into the slot that you switch Palafin out into, right? I don't think that it's gonna be that good when the restrictors come back because of just how much people can threaten you with switching out, right? And then plus there's gonna be Kyogre, so people are gonna probably want to pick Kyogre as their water type over Palafin, but we'll see. But that's my take on my top 4. So I want to give an honorable mention. I was going to put Ting Lu here as an honorable mention, but I do feel like Ting Lu has been figured out. A lot of people are just removing it from the field fast with Chien-Pao, forcing it to Terra with Specs Iron Bundle, and then it tears into like maybe a poison or water type, and then you just have other things on your side of the field like Iron Hands or Great Tusk that just still remove it from the field even after it tears, right? So I do feel like Ting Lu has been figured out. I still think that it may be a top 15 Pokemon in Regulation C, but I don't think that is top 5. So my top 5 position is going to go, my honorable mention is going to go to Arcanine. So I feel like Arcanine, you could sub this in for any of these, right? Arcanine is just as good as any of these 4. The best set right now is going to be Terra Water, Safety Goggles, Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, Protect, and Will-O-Wisp. It used to be Snarl over Protect, but Protect is so good on Arcanine when you can't Terra it to get around like Palafin, that this is like the most optimal set, right? This helps you deal with Amoonguss. The Terra helps you survive against Palafin. And you also get an Intimidate with it, right? Another set you could go for is Terra Grass. And then Citrus Berry. Right, this makes Arcanine have a lot of stability. Not Terra Ghost, Terra Grass. Sorry about that. So this helps you still get around like some of those resistances, like resistance to water, resistance to like spore moves and powder moves. So you still get your Will-O-Wisp off and your Flare Blitz. And then the Citrus Berry helps you have more survivability, right? I've seen a crazy set with Flash Fire. Flash Fire and Grass Terra. So that way, like, you can Terra. This helps you against the Lilligant matchup, funny enough. Lilligant can't spore you because of the grass, and then you can just put like Snarl to like double Snarl them, weaken Torkoal, and break Lilligant's Sash. And then Flash Fire makes you immune if they go for after you Eruption Fire Terror, like it just takes no damage. And that's just a hard check to that strategy, right? Another good set I've seen is Flying Terror with Safety Goggles. Sorry about it. I love this music right away. This reminds me of Snowboard Kids from Nintendo 64. I don't know if y'all played that, but it definitely sounds like that. So this set, and then you want to go Howl here. I like how the Howl set is my favorite Arcanine set, but a lot of people have been running Will-O-Wisp with it, right? I like Protect because once Arcanine starts getting attack boost, it starts becoming a threat, right? And then people want to get off the field before it can keep howling, and you can force that pressure into a Protect, right? And then you're stalling your opponent out while your other Pokemon goes for damage, right? So this is really good alongside like Ting Lu, right? So you go for Howl, and you're pretty bulky because you have Intimidate. Plus, you have the special attack drop. I mean, yeah, the Vessel of Ruin to drop special attack. So you're kind of covering for both sides of the attack spectrum. And you can go for Howl plus Earthquakes, right? And then go for Flying Terror. That way you can Quake next to your Arcanine, and you're just putting out a lot of damage. You just go max attack on Ting Lu so it deals good damage. And you can go Ground Terror here if you want to go Choice Band. I like the Assault Vest set still, so I'm just bulky on both sides. And then I went with like a Fairy Terror set. This is what I'm trying to get to number 1 right now, right? I got this this set in particular to rank number 6 on the ladder. I like this because it's hard to remove both of these from the field, and you're just chipping everything and potentially KOing things. And then you just come in the back with like Flutter Mane and Chien-Pao and like just clean up the game, right? It's a really good strategy, and it works well for me for my play style. I'm really a fan of it. And this is what I would go with if I was to use Arcanine right now, or while I'm using Arcanine. But it's so many different sets that you can run with Arcanine. I've seen Choice Band as well. And don't get me wrong, Arcanine is not one dimensional. You don't just have to go for like support Arcanine, right? You can go for full on attack, right? You can go for Raging Fury is such a cool move, but it's not better than Flare Blitz because it's fire type outrage, right? And you can't control what you target. So Flare Blitz is always better, even though it does chip you down. But Raging Fury is still a good attack, right? You go close combat, and then you can either go play rough, but I would recommend Wild Charge just to have that electric coverage into like Gyarados and things like that. And this is like offensive next to Chien-Pao, like you're dealing so much damage. And then you go for Terra Normal, right? And then you got Terra Normal Extreme Speeds next to Chien-Pao, and then Arcanine Max Attack is just dealing mad damage to everything, right? And this is a fun set. I use this set on my Snow team alongside Chien-Pao, Iron Bundle with Blizzard and Bomber Snow. And it's really fun because Arcanine does like catch a lot of the things that want to deal with Iron Bundle quick, like the Steel types and things like that resist like the ice moves, and you get them out of there quickly with Flare Blitz, right? And like the only thing you can't really hit with Extreme Speed, Choice Band Extreme Speed Normal Terror is Ghost types, because even Steel types are still taking like 40-50% depending on how bulky they are, right? It's a really good set, and it's really fun to use. But this is going to be my honorable mention. Like I said, you can switch out Arcanine, I feel, for any of these 4 mons, right? But not over the best mon. So our best mon, you guys might have an idea of what it is. I don't think an introduction needs to be there. We're going to go with Flutter Mane. So Flutter Mane, I feel like, is the best Pokemon in this format. And it's like everybody knows what 3 sets or what 4 sets it can be. It's going to either be Booster Energy, right? It's going to be Specs, which is the most common one right now. It's going to be Focus Sash, or it's going to be Life Orb. And all of these sets outside of Focus Sash, you can literally one-shot Flutter Mane with a Steel type attack, right? From like Bullet Punch from like Scizor or anything like that. And knowing that, this Pokemon is still unstoppable. Like, it's still so good. You know what it can do. You know it's easy to knock it out, but you still can't get to it. You still can't knock it out, right? And my favorite set to run on this is Choice Specs that I've been running recently. But I think the most consistent one, which I feel like if it is going to see restricted play in the format, because this just gets outspelled by Zacian in one shot. Like, I don't care how much bulk you put on this. Max attack, max defense. Zacian is so powerful, it's still going to one-shot you with Behemoth Blade, right? So Focus Sash is probably going to be the most consistent set if you still want to use this Pokemon in series whenever the restrictors come. But right now for this series, I like this set. So we're going to go with Terra Fairy, Focus Sash, and then Dazzling, right? Just so you have that spread damage, Shadow Ball, Trick Room, and Protect. So this is threatening. This helps you into like fast Tailwind teams that want to outspeed you, and you can just have max speed Flutter Mane, right? Max attack, max special attack, max speed. Not sure why this won't move. Okay. Right? And then you just outspeed everything. If they try to set up Tailwind, you can go for Trick Room. You have Focus Sash, so they can't one-shot you. And if they're going for Tailwind, then that means only one can hit you. So you always survive that, right? You could use this like next to Iron Hands, go for Fake Out, Trick Room. It's a really consistent set. I feel like if you don't want your Flutter Mane to get surprise KO'd by random things, this is the set you want to go with, right? But then you have, also with Focus Sash, you can also go with this set too, Parasong. Parasong is a good set to use alongside like Gothitelle. It's a really good Parasong mon because it's fast. It gets Parasong off fast. It's a ghost type, so it can't be faked out. And it can also switch out of a Paras Trap. So it's a really good Parasong Pokemon. That's why you saw it like win a regional early in Scarlet and Violet. The next item is it's going to be Choice Specs. So Choice Specs, you want to make sure that you have Moonblast on there. And the fourth move is up to you. It has a lot of options you can go for. So with this, I haven't seen Dark Pulse. So I've seen Energy Ball with Grass Terror to help you get around Palafin. And also Amoonguss Spores. You can go with Thunderbolt, which might be the most consistent one right now. But just some other choices you have. You can go for like a Terra Blast with like Ground Terra Flutter Mane, which can be like, you know, pretty surprising to Steel types. You have Fire Terror with Mystical Fire. I played with a Rock type Flutter Mane, and I just tear into Power Gem and put the Sun up, and got like the Choice Specs Power Gem boost and just one-shot Arcanine, right? It's really satisfying to one-shot Arcanine. I haven't seen Icy 1 on the Tailwind, on the Choice Specs set, but you could go for it if that's something that you were interested in, right? But Thunderbolt is going to be the most consistent one for this set, just to have that electric coverage on your team. Also dealing with like Gyarados, which is really common. Donzo, if Donzo's around like 50%, like Thunderbolt is doing so much damage to it. It's a good check for Palafin. It's a good check for like just bulky water types. Arm Bundle, even though Arm Bundle if it's not Focus Sash, just gets one shot by like a Moonblast. It's still like if it's a bulky Arm Bundle that hasn't Terra, has Aurora Veil up, then Thunderbolt is a better option to just remove it from the field, right? So that's one in the set. The other set is Life Orb. Life Orb is going to be, I feel like, maybe the least common out of the four. It offers you that extra surprise damage, and then you probably want to go with Protect on this set, right? And then instead of Dazzling Gleam, well, actually, I would probably keep Dazzling Gleam, get Substitute. This is another common set. So this does a lot of damage with your Fairy type moves, with your Shadow Ball, and Substitute. And actually, I've seen some bulky sets with Hex, right? Running this alongside like Glamora. So this set helps you deal with like a lot of bulkier Pokemon that want to play the long game. You poison them with Glamora, right? With Glamora's ability with Mortal Spin, and then the Toxic Spike start gets set up, and then Flutter Mane just comes in the back and then just clicks Hex, right? And Hex, Life Orb Hex, just does so much damage to things. It's doubled in power because when they have a status, it goes to a base 130 move, right? So base 130 is hitting everything. Like 65 is 130. Yeah, 130 base 130 move. That's even like neutrally is dealing like plenty of damage to everything with max special attack. So this is a good set if you want to try it. I do have a Hex Flutter Mane, but mine is Booster Energy. But I do plan on like trying this set out just to see how it does. Also, this set, if you want to go for like Modest, so you're not special, so you're not max speed, but then go with like Thunder Wave Gyarados on lead. You paralyzing things down and then coming in with Flutter Mane, which outspeeds everything with the Modest, and then just going for like Hex into them Life Orb. It's dealing like so much damage. You don't have to worry about the speed ties or other Flutter Mane, things like that if you already paralyzed it. All right, so that's a good set. The last set that I want to go over with this Pokemon is going to be Booster Energy. So Booster Energy is a really good set. You don't want to run, you can run Hex with it. That's the one that I have, but you might want to run Shadow Ball with this set. You could run Substitute to give you fast substitutes, but then you probably want to go Moonblast, right? Right? And I feel like this, I don't know why it's doing that. I feel like this is a good set. So the Booster Energy, you don't want to be You want to be always timid. You could go with the special attack if you're like playing on the Sun team with Tailwind. Then you can use the the special attack boost. But I like to go with speed, just so you outspeed everything in the format that's not on weather, like Lycanroc and Lilligant and Jump Left, or a booster energy arm bundle, right? And then you can just always get your substitute up, go first, KO things with Moonblast. This is a good in-game sweeper, right? When Tailwind is passed, when the weather is gone, and then their things are like low and they're chipped down, and they don't have any speed control, like Flutter Mane just comes in and it cleans up, right? It's a really good cleaner with this set. This is actually the set that I'm using on the team that I'm trying to get #1 with, that I hit #6 on the ladder with. I have this set on that team specifically. I do have Steel Terror on there just for a little more consistency as far as surviving instead of the Fairy Terror, because I have Moonblast, so I'm dealing enough damage with Moonblast, so I didn't feel like I needed a Fairy Terror. But Flutter Mane is definitely #1 in the format. It's like 70% usage at the last tournament. Everybody uses it. It's almost on every team, so you have to prepare for it. It's a good Pokemon. I recommend using it. You can't go wrong with having it on your team. It's very splashable. And it kind of reminds me a lot of like a baby like Calyrex Shadow, right? It's fast, it's frail, it hits hard on a special side, but it can't really take hits on the physical side, right? Just similar to Calyrex Shadow. It doesn't have a 4x weakness. I think it can be bulkier at times than Calyrex Shadow due to its typing. But overall, with Terra, that's going to be coming to with Calyrex Shadow when it does return. Calyrex Shadow is going to be a lot bulkier just to get away from that 4x weakness that it has, right? But Flutter Mane is really dominant in the format. I want to see how well it continues to do when Incineroar is, because Incineroar doesn't 100% wall it, but Moonblast is like neutral to Incineroar and it resists the Shadow Ball, right? So you always got to click Moonblast, and Incineroar is a physical attacker, so he's just hitting you back with a Flare Blitz and doing a lot of damage, right? You can't really tear away from it. I have seen like some Water Terror Flutter Manes that could help you kind of deal with Incineroar, but would you really want to go through all this just to like hit Incineroar with a Moonblast and do like maybe like 40% to it, because Incineroar is always bulky, right? And then it's gonna just snarl you, and then it usually has Citrus Berry or Assault Vest, so it can just heal itself back up. It's gonna parting shot you, pivot out, and just be really annoying to you, right? So I'm interested to see how this would do once it does come back into the format, right? But that's gonna be my list. It is 11/11, which is beautiful. We want to make a wish. I do wish that for my YouTube to continue to grow. I want it to expand, and I want to continue to make content and be able to bring more people to VGC, and just be like motivational people, let them know that you can make videos and content around Pokemon, and to not be afraid to do it and just jump out there. I chose to just commit to it full time, and I feel like it's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. I'm having fun with it, and I hope you all enjoy the content and you continue to grow with me. Thank you for watching. This is going to be my top 5 list. I have more of these coming. If you're interested in any other videos, or you have any other ideas or for any things I can do, just leave a comment below, drop a like and sub to me, just and turn your notifications on so you can get my videos. I am posting every day. I've been posting a video every day since I purchased my new PC, and we're going to continue to post every day while we're growing, right? So I do content videos, I do gameplay, I do things like this one, like top 5, top 10. I'm going to be doing also some team building videos. We have all that in store, so stick around. If you enjoy it, like I said, leave a like, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Y'all have a good night.